Tonight on Haunted Homes, we investigate reports of a haunting in Newcastle.
It was actually a solid man standing in the doorway.
Where one member of the family is too terrified to sleep in her own home.
I can't. I have to calm myself down.
Can Mia Dolan, one of Britain's most sought-after psychics, help the Elvins?
Scarred, badly scarred. Looks like burns.
Oh my God, that is the strangest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I felt as if there was someone crouching, ready to jump.
This was scary for me, don't believe me.
Do you believe you've ever encountered a ghost? Maybe sensed a presence of some kind? Or witnessed a phenomena that you just can't explain? Well, if you have, you are certainly not alone, because thousands of us Brits claim that we've experienced the paranormal. In fact, in one recent survey, 1 in 3 of us claim that we've actually lived with a ghost. Tonight, we investigate an ordinary home in Newcastle. The family, who've lived there for 3 years, claim that they're being haunted by a poltergeist that's intent on making its presence known to their children.
Katrina and John Elvin have been happily married for more than 12 years. They have 3 children, Jonathan, Nathan and Jasmine. And they've all lived for 3.5 years in what should have been their dream home. But their dream has become a nightmare. Katrina is at her wit's end because of the strange experiences she's been having since she moved into her new house. And as the tape Katrina sent us shows, she's very distraught.
Experiences in this house, where would I start? Big one for me was, I've always, I can't. I have to calm myself down.
Having spent the last 3.5 years meticulously decorating her home, Katrina fears that she and her family will be forced to move out.
When we first viewed the house, I was really excited. It had loads of potential. I knew the kids would be safe here, you know, for playing out the front.
On moving in, Katrina claimed to have some disturbing experiences.
Katrina felt as if there was a presence constantly as soon as we moved in, type of thing. I'm sort of sceptical about it, type of thing.
The first night, I heard the little one get up. I heard the little one come into the room. And basically, without even opening my eyes, I just pulled the cover back as if to say, well, in you get. And the little one didn't get in the bed. So I thought, he's in a new house. He's probably wandered in, thought, where am I? And wandered back out. So got out of bed, went to investigate, and he was actually fast asleep.
So, if Nathan was fast asleep, who was the mystery man?
One particular night in this house, I'd woke up early hours of the morning and saw a solid man. He was standing in the doorway of the bedroom looking towards the bed. I was petrified. The room was silent, but I could hear my heartbeat. Obviously, he was actually closer to the kids' bedrooms than I was, and I was frightened, you know, it could cause some harm. I repeatedly closed my eyes, opened them, still there, closed my eyes, opened them, gone. Just vanished.
But Katrina wasn't the only person in the house who claimed to have witnessed this late-night visitor. More worryingly for a parent, she says the figure was also watching her 12-year-old son, Jonathan.
He's often talked about man upstairs. The man that comes in my room. The man who watches me when I play on the computer.
We used to say that a man used to stand at the end of the bed, which is obviously where the cupboard is, and he would never go to sleep without the cupboard door shut. But of a morning time, he would come through and he'd say, Daddy, the cupboard door's opening.
Even more disturbing for Katrina was what 5-year-old Nathan said he'd experienced.
Nathan went to walk out of the room, stopped on the spot. He was asked what was the matter, because he was just basically looking through the doorway down the top passage. He couldn't speak. He was literally frozen, stuck to the spot, and that lasted a good few minutes. When we calmed Nathan down, He said that he saw the monster man, as his actual words. This apparently walked out of my bedroom, walked down the passage on the top landing. He was really shook up about it.
I was still very sceptical because I've never actually sort of witnessed anything or sort of heard anything myself.
Distraught that John didn't believe what the rest of the family were experiencing, Katrina set up the cameras we gave her to record a video diary to prove to John that there definitely is activity in the house.
Bedtime, this time of night, the time of night when I don't feel so good. I don't look forward to going to bed some nights.
Katrina's anxious mood appears to be rubbing off on the children as they find it hard to settle down for the night. John does one last check.
I sense things. I get woke up through the night. Nothing visually to be seen, but a very frightening feeling.
With the rest of the family asleep, Katrina is already up again.
I'm sitting in my kitchen in the pitch black, which is very, very brave for me. On the off chance I might pick something up. This was scary for me to believe.
The next day, the kitchen camera had recorded nothing out of the ordinary. However, Katrina found something disturbing on the camera set up in her daughter's bedroom. Although very faint, Katrina is certain that she hears a sinister voice saying, "Don't touch me." But is that enough to convince John that there is activity in the house?
It wasn't so much as what he said, it was the way that he said it. It was like, "Don't touch me." That was the point where I thought, yeah, maybe there is something going on type of thing. Obviously, I've got kids to sort of think of, and my wife who has been suffering from sort of these occasions for a while. It's obviously affecting her, so it scares me in that sense that it's affecting, or could affect, the rest of my family, you know.
At the end of the day, this is our house. And at the minute, I feel as though I'm sharing it with other people.
Katrina's took a job doing night shift simply because she has a problem with sleeping. There's going to be some point where it's going to get too much, and we would have to make a decision to either move or get it resolved.
It's no surprise that Katrina and John Elvin are distraught. They say they're sharing their home with a spirit they call the Monster Man, and that he's ruining their lives. They want him out forever. Things are so bad that Katrina's taken to working night shifts so as to avoid sleeping in her own bedroom. They are desperate, and they've called in the Haunted Homes team for help.
Mia Dolan, one of Britain's most sought-after psychics, heads up the team.
A psychic is somebody who covers all areas of the paranormal. It's a paranormal consultant. Some of the activity that indicates you've got a haunting is extreme temperature changes, smells that come from nowhere, overpowering and then go again, lights and orbs that have no logical explanation, bangs and noises that don't make sense, and of course, if you see a ghost in the room.
Before meeting the Elvins, one of the techniques Mia uses is a spiritual practice called psychometry.
Psychometry is picking up information from objects. If somebody's held something a lot, or used something, or worn something, it's going to soak up the vibe anyway. It's a great way to get a feel of a property you're going to. It's like the first clues.
It's time for Mia to assess some of the personal items belonging to the family. She hones in on two in particular.
I'm getting images of like a lounge, and pictures are moving, things are swinging, and a strong smell of smoke. And the smoke is not, it's not as if the house is burning, but the smoke brings fear. It's very uncomfortable. This sits near the bookend. It's in the same room, and the smoke, once again the smoke. Very uncomfortable feeling.
Mia says the image of flames and smell of smoke are invading her consciousness.
There's something live in this house, something's happening. It's not just a case of people being scared. We've got a haunting.
Psychic Mia Dolan has now examined some of the family's possessions, and she says she's already picking up on a strong sense of fire and of burning coming from the objects. Clairvoyants and psychics believe that they have the power to help ghosts trapped here with us move on to the spirit world. But that's often not without a fight. Armed with crucial information about the family, Mia says she's now determined to find out whether or not the Elvins really are being haunted by a ghost that they call the Monster Man.
What will Mia uncover when she visits the family home?
Did you see that?
I felt as if there was someone ready to jump.
It's going up though. What's upstairs?
Oh my God, can you not feel anything, Darren?
Terrified and sleep-deprived, Katrina and John Elvin believe they're living with a sinister ghost. They say the male figure, who only makes himself known after dark, is terrorising two of their children. But what is the dark shape that the family have named the Monster Man? And why won't he let them have their home back? Is he for real, or is he a figment of the family's imagination? Over the next 2 days, our team of investigators will try to find out.
Mia is driven to the Elvins' house. Apart from the psychometry, she has no prior knowledge of the family, their home, or even its location. Mia has been keen to make the visit, convinced that evidence of the family's suffering will make itself known.
A lot of friction in this house. Distress. The whole house feels heavy. Like the beginning of a big storm. Just look in here. Here we have light anomalies. Running on the stairs, bangs upstairs, sounds of doors closing. It's not the centre though, just activity. Look around.
Mia says she feels drawn to the upstairs of the house.
Going up the stairs. Just heard something breathe in my ear, like a but dark, heavy. It's unexpected.
Is Mia getting closer to the centre of the problem?
Once again, let's dispel all myths of haunted places being grim. This is very pretty. Many sleepless nights. Sadness. Not the centre of the activity, but these are the people that care and trying to make it better. Chest's getting tighter still. It's almost as if the air's getting thick like a soup. Blue room, obviously a boy's room. God, what an awful feeling.
Mia believes this has to be the centre of the haunting.
So this thing likes people to get upset, it likes to cause trouble. That's not a good sign. I really want to meet the family, and I need to see how badly affected they are by this before we go any further.
Mia is accompanied by our very own paranormal investigator, Mark Webb.
Paranormal investigators will go to reputedly haunted locations and try to capture some form of proof of the existence of the paranormal that can't be explained by the scientist.
Skeptic Chris French, Professor of Paranormal Psychology, will look for a rational explanation.
I've personally spent lots of nights in supposedly haunted locations, and I have never, ever seen or heard or experienced anything that I felt defied ordinary explanation.
As Chris and Mark arrive, Katrina is keen to show them where Nathan says he saw the Monster Man.
He said that he saw what he called a monster man.
Where was Nathan when that actually happened?
Nathan was actually originally behind yourself where the bunk beds were, and he'd crossed over the room practically directly into the doorway, and he said that it came out of our room and walked down the passage.
Next, they visit Katrina and John's room.
Basically, just to the doorway there was a full, solid man standing.
Was the man actually facing you, or was he facing away?
He was standing there, a very tall man. What puzzled me was I could see he was a solid man, but he had no facial features.
After all the experts have completed their investigations, it's finally time for Mia to put the last piece in the puzzle by meeting the Elvins face to face.
very first thing I got was this feeling of pressure, and it's always a sign to me. If it feels heavy, like before a storm, you know something's going on. And I went into your room, and that was the feeling of being hit by sounds, visions, and you sleeping and waking up. You know, like when you wake up, and you're wide awake because you heard something, you've seen something, and you're on your own, your heart's racing, and you don't believe her.
It's not so much I don't believe her, it's more a case of... It has become quite frequent, and I tend to think that it could be down to something else.
When I left that room and went into the boys' room, that was the worst, because I had a visual image of all hell breaking loose in that room.
Having said that the boys' room is at the centre, Mia's convinced that there is only one entity capable of causing this kind of chaos.
Everything you've got here points to poltergeist activity.
Mia explains to the family that poltergeist activity is said to be far more destructive than typical paranormal happenings.
I, as a psychic, I'm very excited. But ultimately, the reason I'm here is to get rid of it. And so tonight we do the vigil and we look for it. Tomorrow we get rid of it. So you won't spend one more night all on your own until it's gone.
The prospect of finally being free of the spirit that has tormented her for so long is too much for Katrina.
Okay.
Mia's obviously touched a raw nerve. So what has Katrina made of her findings?
Very surprised on how much she picked up. A bit scared of the word poltergeist that she used. I wasn't expecting that.
I was very surprised at the amount of information that she gave her. As regards to each room in the house, it was fantastic.
I have high expectations for tonight. I really think we're going to get something on tape or on some of our equipment. And I certainly expect the people who live here to experience things, because this is a hive of poltergeist activity. So good for us, scary for them.
So, what is it that's making John and Katrina Elvin's life a living nightmare? Well, this isn't a job for daytime investigation. In the dead of night, in fact, at the stroke of midnight, our team will try to locate the Monster Man. What is he? Who is he? And why is he there?
The night of the vigil has arrived, and it's time for Mark to set up his equipment.
We're going to set up a pair of motion sensors. We're hoping that by placing these here, should anything break the beam, it will cause the alarm to go off, and we will be able to come down and monitor what's gone on.
Mark also sets up a thermal imaging camera which records temperature changes that some believe can indicate paranormal activity. With the setup completed, Mark takes advantage of a lull in the proceedings to check out the Elvins' recording.
They believe they can hear a voice which tells them, "Don't touch me." Now, on playing it back, I'm not so sure that's actually what this voice says. I've actually picked up two different phrases, maybe. One I've discarded now was "John, don't speak." Now I believe it actually says "Don't try and talk." Either way, it's a negative phrase that I don't believe would be mentioned by anyone else in the house.
If it's not anyone in the house, who or what is it?
This could be a voice from the next door neighbours, it could be a voice from downstairs, but I don't think that it is a voice from downstairs. It could be the voice of someone that's passed over. We can't say for definite that it is, but we also can't say for definite that it isn't.
Having heard the voice, Mark seems enthusiastic about recording some paranormal activity tonight. But what does our skeptic, Chris French, think?
Maybe people will actually think they see things and think they hear things. What will be interesting will be to see whether we can actually pick any of this up with the actual recording apparatus that we've got.
For the vigil, we'll position night vision cameras upstairs in the boys' room and in Katrina and John's bedroom. At precisely midnight, Mia, Mark and the Elvins take their places, whilst Chris monitors the house from the Winnebago, the nerve centre of tonight's vigil.
If you experience anything, just please tell me.
All appears quiet until suddenly, about 20 minutes after the vigil begins, Katrina says she can see things behind John.
Both sides of John now.
Okay, that's still quite a big one actually then.
Mia and Katrina claim to be witnessing a paranormal display of lights.
Oh my God. That is the strangest thing I've ever seen in my life.
However, the cameras and sensors in the room don't seem to be able to pick anything up, nor does John.
Can you not feel anything, John?
Whilst Katrina's transfixed by the light, Mia seems to have sensed another energy force at the other end of the room.
It's going up low. What's upstairs?
Our room.
What's above us?
Our bedroom.
It's your room, isn't it?
Less than an hour into the vigil, and the energies in the room appear to be hotting up. Mia says that something strong is drawing her upstairs. She decides to investigate further, taking Mark with her. Katrina and John are left to fend for themselves downstairs.
First time in my life I've seen something that wasn't like the staticky, just clinking, clinking, clink, like all over. It actually came forward, that you could actually see that come away from the wall.
Mia and Mark take watch from the hallway so they can monitor all the main psychic areas.
It's the centre of the place. My heart rate's gone right up. I just saw something going through in the doorway.
If this is a poltergeist, as Mia suspects, she says it'll try and outwit her. Mia believes the spirit has already moved on somewhere else. So she sends Mark in to see if he can sense anything. But almost immediately, Mia claims that something is right next to her.
Standing here. Somebody was just standing here.
They're convinced that the poltergeist is flitting from room to room, but still our cameras can't pick it up. They decide to investigate what they think is the absolute centre of the activity, the boys' room. Mia is immediately drawn to its furthest corner.
I'm actually feeling like I want to stay away from that area of the room.
It's like a denseness.
Yeah.
Heavy. Sorry. Did you see that? Did you see that?
Yes.
He's following us, Mark.
Yeah.
If I get Katrina and bring her back upstairs, right?
Yeah.
Because it's no good us saying what we've seen. We've got to see if they can experience the same thing.
Yeah.
And if you take John out to the Winnebago, he can actually watch her coming upstairs.
Yeah, we'll monitor what you're up to.
John and Mark make their way to the Winnebago, as Mia thinks it's more likely that the ghost will appear to Katrina. And as soon as Katrina enters the boys' room, her nerves get the better of her.
You want to hold my hand, you can.
My heart. Seriously. I get this quite often in this room. It's just like a instant bloody like get out. Do you know what I mean? It's not saying something I'm not, am I?
Katrina is finding the situation more and more intense.
Is that corner darkened?
Yep, it just pulsed.
Oh. It's just darkened, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I saw the shape or anything, but it's just darkened.
It's pulsing.
What does that mean?
Well, often before something comes, it pulses darker. It's like a...
It's practically jet black, the
Yeah.
whole corner. Was it the man that was here?
Yeah. Well done on coming upstairs. I know you didn't want to, but I think it helps. I'm interested to see what, Chris and a skeptic, the professor guy. I'd like him to walk around here on his own.
But before Mia can get Chris into the house, John, who's so intrigued by the effect the boys' room has had on everyone else, insists on going up first.
The darkness, the actual point in which it's like really black, is actually quite a big shape. I felt as if there was someone crouching to it and ready to jump.
Finally, our hardened skeptic is allowed into the house. The others watch from the Winnebago.
This is the boys' room. I'm going to stand here for a while and just see whether I can get any of that kind of sense that they get of what it is that's scaring them. But this is another room I'd be quite happy to spend the night in and go to sleep in.
He's cooking yet, Nick.
Seems like quite a
There's a challenge.
He said that on national telly, he's spending the night.
Oh, he would though, but he'd just pass out right now. He's desperate to go to sleep, that's why he keeps saying it.
No, I'm not getting anything at all. No.
Overall, I have to say, I'm not convinced that anything paranormal was happening last night. But at the end of the day, if Katrina and her family think that paranormal stuff's going on, then hopefully by Mia taking part in her rituals to get rid of this, then if that makes them feel better, then that's what really matters.
Yesterday night's vigil was very interesting. We had both myself and Mia witnessing a visual apparition.
I still don't know what it's here, I don't know why it's here, or what it's trying to do. And I'm not going to find out until I open up properly and bring it in.
But how are the Elvins feeling after their 5-hour vigil?
I don't mind admitting I was petrified.
It was more relief on my behalf more than anything else. It wasn't a relief for myself as such, it was a relief for Katrina. I could sense there'd been like a weight off her shoulders, taken away off her shoulders.
Tonight, hopefully everything is going to stop.
Our investigation team spent many eventful hours at John and Katrina Elvin's home. But what you saw didn't end there. What's gone unreported up until now are the many technical problems we encountered. Interference on our equipment, battery failures, and the fact that one of our crew members saw something that frightened them so much they weren't prepared to talk about it. None of that impressed Dr. Chris French. He says that none of it amounts to any evidence of the paranormal, but everyone else who was there that night disagrees. Mia and Katrina claim they saw strange lights, and when Mia was upstairs with our paranormal investigator Mark Webb, they both say they saw the ghost in the boys' bedroom. Mia now believes she has to confront the spirit in order to help it from this world into the next.
See how Mia copes when she summons up the Monster Man.
Scarred, badly scarred. Looks like burns.
Since time began, religious figures, tribal leaders and witch doctors have all had to deal with their community's fear when it's believed that a spirit has entered a home or a person. According to some, helping that spirit move from this world into the next is potentially hazardous. But tonight, that's exactly what Mia is about to attempt in a clearing ceremony.
The final stage is about to begin, and Mia says she will summon the poltergeist.
You may experience things you might not, but ultimately, you're going to be okay. I'm here. So now I can visualise your stairs. Going up them. As I'm turning around and I'm looking down the landing, I'm starting to see somebody by the cupboard. Not in the bedroom, then by the cupboard. It's a man. His clothes are very, very ragged. He's scarred, badly scarred. Looks like burns. He's looking at me as if daring me to be upset or uncomfortable. I'm going backwards down the stairs, he's coming down. Okay, he's in the room. There's a bad smell. A weird bad smell, like rotting smell. He's got the name Jack. He got burnt in somewhere he couldn't breathe. Couldn't see. Very dark. It's a colliery. You've got connection with that. You're the connection, John. Was your grandfather in the mines? We've got to do the collieries.
As a boy, yes.
Yeah. This, at the same time that your grandfather was there, this man was here. But he's not just a colliery worker. He either owned it or he was in charge of it. There was a lot of people died then. When he died, a lot of people died. He's just full of rage because he believes he didn't have his life. He should have had more of a life. He's coming down. It's as if he's sitting at the end of the table. He's screaming at me, tell them something. Tell them I didn't do it. Tell them I didn't do it.
He was blamed, or he feels blamed, for the fire, and it wasn't him. Find out and tell the truth. Find out. It's not you he's screaming at. He's saying tell them, meaning everybody. I'm getting stam. I don't stam food. Stam. You know. That's why he's here. You know. All my hair started going red.
Mia seems to have a struggle on her hands.
Oh, sorry. Do it.
She needs to send it over now.
De profundus clamave ad de Domini exaudi vocum.
Mia recites a Latin prayer for the dead.
Dentus invocium. Deprecationis miae. Si iniquitus observabus. Domini quae sustenabi. God.
Mia believes she has sent over the presents and that the sensations of burning she had during the psychometry were true.
He was pushing into you. I didn't want to say it. And then when it made me jump, it's because he went like that at me. Do it.
But what did this spirit want from the Elvins?
He still believes his name was used badly. He wants his name cleared.
With the clearing completed and the spirit sent over, how does Katrina feel?
I'm sure over the next few days I'll know the difference if she by the senses I've had, whether that's just walking in the kids' room and not feeling that dread, like the closing of a book.
During the clearing, Mia claims she contacted a ghost called Jack and discovered that he died in a fire at a colliery. She says that Jack was angry because he was blamed for that accident after his death. And while our researchers were unable to confirm that specific story, they did uncover reports of several major mining accidents locally.
1 month has passed since the clearing, but has life improved for the Elvins?
The whole atmosphere of the house, I would say, has been definitely different. I feel safe in my house.
The atmosphere in the household's really perked up. You can tell in Katrina herself, she's more upbeat and everything.
This room was the big issue in the house, but I can't spend time in here. I've sat and watched Nathan play on the computer in here, which, to me is like a massive thing.
But is John still dubious about the paranormal?
After what has happened, I'm more non-sceptical than sceptical now.
Katrina and John Elvin say that they and their children are now rid of the monster man that was terrorising their home. Family life is returning to normal. Katrina's even given up those night shifts that she used to use as an excuse not to sleep in her own bed. So, one happy family and one ghost-free home. According to reports, paranormal activity is on the increase in Britain. Would you know what to do if you couldn't explain light bulbs exploding, ornaments shifting, or the dog growling for no apparent reason? Haunted homes, it seems, are not just the stuff of Hollywood movies. They could be in streets like yours, in ordinary houses occupied by people just like you. Sleep well. Good night.
Sunday night.
I think he wants us to pick up where he left off. Saving people, hunting things, the family business.
The brand new series continues.
There's something evil in those woods.
Supernatural, Sunday at 9, ITV2.